To 2013, I'm embarrassed to even tell you how many hours I was just putting in to just running the labs. They were only paying me for maybe like 24 to 30 hours, but I was easily putting in a lot more than that. Just to I wanted to be the person who just became an asset, right? I was learning everything I possibly could about just the ins and outs of the equipment, just every single component. So if there was ever a problem, they needed to call me to solve the problem. So I just started just demonstrating that I was an asset to the organization in that sense. So then they eventually started giving me more and more classes to teach, and the ratio kind of switched. So I was, 90% lab tech, 10% teacher. But then as time started going on, it was less time spent being lab tech, more time being a teacher. And then this posting came up for a full-time teaching position. Put in the application. I was already part of the Guelph Humber family, so they knew my face, they knew the work I did. I guess the student feedback questionnaire was pretty good as well, so that helped with my application. Which finally leads me to kind of where I am now. The most professional I've ever been, I guess, right? I am currently a college professor, I guess that's my title now, over at Humber College. Just to give you an idea of how our programs are set up. There's a cluster of programs. So the department that I work for is called the School of HRT, Hospitality, Recreation, and Tourism. There's a cluster of exercise science and fitness, sport-related programs, sport management, rec and leisure, massage therapy. But the three that I am directly involved in and teach in are the Fitness and Health Promotion Diploma Program. It's a 2-year program. The Bachelor of Applied Science in Kinesiology is a 4-year degree offered through the University of Guelph Humber, and a 1-year postgraduate certificate program for individuals who they have a degree in kinesiology already, but they choose to come back to kind of supplement their degree with more practical lab experience. So kinesiology students usually were graduated and they felt like, they want to move into a career where they're the practitioner more so than anything, to in the actual workplace. They come here to just develop workplace skills. And in the college environment, one of what colleges are known for, basically, one of the major things in the programs is their internships. So each program, the fitness and health promotion, the massage therapy, exercise science, lifestyle management, they all have an internship at the end. So it's almost like it's forcing you to get a foot into the door into the industry. So after you've taken a couple of years of courses, the final part is you just do an off-campus internship. And then a lot of the time, students who have just demonstrated themselves, so they get to choose where they do their internship. And if they can prove themselves in that semester, a lot of the times they just get a job right afterwards. So that's just how the program is kind of set up. These are just some pictures of the labs, some of which I teach in. So these are our fitness assessment labs. So doing similar things that you might have done in some of your courses, VO2 max testing, speed, agility, power, all of that good stuff. Over at Humber, we have exercise prescription labs. I don't think that's at York yet. Hopefully one day. But basically, this is not a gym. These are classrooms. So they kind of simulate the gym environment or a training studio. But in classes like this is where students learn how to coach and develop training programs and just learn about different cues for different exercises, that type of thing, in an actual setting where you would do those things. Group exercise is also a lab and a class that you would take in all 3 programs. Learning how to facilitate exercise in group settings is obviously an important skill, because I'm not really sure exactly what your job description might entail when you end up working somewhere. It might not always be one-on-one, it might be in a group. There are courses and labs for therapeutic exercise, so for students who are more interested in going the rehab route, rehabilitating musculoskeletal conditions and disorders, there's classes for that as well. Courses in physical demand analysis, so quantifying kind of the demands of different physical occupations, that type of thing. That's what that entails. And then for students who are interested in kind of the cardiac rehab route, there's courses in ECG or electrocardiography, spirometry, that type of testing. You actually do the testing, you practice as though you're actually doing it on a patient, you do stress testing, that type of thing, and learn how to interpret ECGs and that type of thing, if that's what you're interested in doing, cardiac rehab. And then just general health promotion classes. So some of the partnerships that Humber has is with Cardiac Health Foundation. So there might be a course, for example, where students are just delivering education, coming up with pamphlets and flyers, holding workshops and that type of thing for the community. So there's lots going on. So what does like my job entails as a college professor, how is it different than a university professor? Most of my time, I would say 60% of my time is spent teaching and evaluating. So unlike your typical tenured or tenure-track university professor, I do not have my own lab where I conduct research projects and have graduate students that I'm supervising. Most of my time is spent being actually in the classroom, preparing to be in the classroom, or actually doing some form of evaluation. So marking, doing practical exams, marking tests, assignments, that type of thing. Because in college, the classes are a lot smaller. 35 to 40 is usually a class size. It's much, much smaller, right, compared to the hundreds that you might have had first and second year, right? So we don't have TAs at college. You do your own marking for all of the students. So that's why it takes quite a bit of time. The second role, I would say maybe 20% of my time is spent in curriculum development activities. So in college, all of the faculty members, we get together on a regular basis, we meet on a weekly basis to make sure that our program is reflecting the needs, the current needs of the industry, and making sure that the learning outcomes and all of that is flowing throughout the whole program. So we have all the courses laid out, all the outlines that we continually revise on a regular basis to make sure that it's current and reflective of what employers actually want from our graduates. So that's 20% of my time. I would say another 10% professional development. So because I'm not involved anymore directly with research projects and creating research projects or creating them, the way that we stay current with information as a professional or instructor at the college level is we get new certifications or attend as many workshops as possible, do different facility visits just to see what's current in the field at the time. But professional development it's good for every field, but it's a requirement when you are a faculty member at college that what you're teaching in the classroom is current and relevant at that point in time. So that takes up about 10% of time. This is kind of new, maybe about 5% of my time because I've been at Humber now for about 3 years. So because in the college environment, it's very teaching and learning centric. It's all about the learning, it's very student centered, not so much about, say in the university setting, it's much more about the knowledge. How do we expand the body of knowledge and further this area of research? At the college environment, it's a lot more about the learning, what are we teaching, that type of thing. So when a new faculty member gets hired, somebody who's been there a little longer kind of just shows them how the whole system works, how the different online teaching materials work, different resources for the teacher for just being successful as their first year teaching, basically. So I have one mentee right now that I'm just kind of showing the ropes to, how the policies work at Humber. I myself was a mentee, obviously, the first year I was there. But that's about 5% of time. The other 5% of my time, and this is also pretty new, is trying to figure out new innovative ways of teaching and learning beyond what happens in just the normal classroom setting. So one thing, for example, that we're working on, myself and another faculty member, we pitched this idea to our department. It's basically a field trip. A field trip that students have the opportunity to decide if they want to go on. It's a study abroad trip that we're thinking about doing in next spring. But basically the idea is, for the students that are interested, we're going to fly out to California and then basically take a tour down the West Coast, because there's a lot of high-profile training facilities down on that side. A lot of very respected and well-known strength coaches and trainers down on that side as well. And basically just going to the different facilities over about 10 days, learning the training methods, seeing how they operate, different facilities, that type of thing. It got approved, so it's going to happen. But it's going to be capped off at 20 students, so we'll see how that goes. We'll keep you guys posted on that one, but it's mainly directed to our students over at our school. But this is an example of learning by actually going out in the field via a field trip. Obviously a very valuable way to learn what's going on in the field. One of my most favorite things about being a college teacher is after students graduate and they start working out in the field, you get these calls and emails, come see where I work now, come see where I work now, and check me out. And I get to go to all these like really awesome, completely random facilities and do the most random things, like throw tires into Lake Ontario. Like how do you explain that? But so this particular place is it's called Alpha Obstacle Training. One of our University of Guelph Humber graduates opened it up. Jesse Bruce, you know Jesse Bruce? Yeah, he owns this place. But I love that, just being able to just go and just be part of a group class or just see how their facility works now that they're out in the field. It's pretty cool. I'm like way over time here, I'm so sorry. This is the last couple of slides, but if I were to kind of summarize all the lessons I kind of learned along the way and then put them into maybe 3 takeaway points that maybe you can apply to just about any endeavor that you're interested in. Here's my three pieces of advice to just take home. And you'll see that it's not really out of the ordinary at all. First, number 1, just good old-fashioned just networking. And I'm sure you've heard this before, and you know it sounds mean, but at the end of the day, your degree, the paper, it's a piece of paper. It's a very expensive and challenging paper to get, but it's a ticket. It's a ticket that allows you, it buys you entrance into the league, the professional league, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, right, in the league. Like, in the Toronto Maple Leafs or in the NHL, but you know, they don't win, you know what I mean? You don't want to be the Toronto Maple Leafs in the professional setting, you know what I mean? But we're getting to a point where it's not just about who you know, but who also knows you. So I'm talking about just exposing yourself, showcasing your skills, going to conferences, workshops, seminars. I'm preaching to the choir because it's a handful of you that are attending events like this. But just getting yourself out there, being in front of as many people as possible whenever you get the chance. And by networking, I'm not talking about sharing pages on Facebook or liking Instagram photos or retweeting. Not that kind of networking. I mean, pick up the phone, call somebody, or physically go to a facility and meet people. Nothing will ever replace that face-to-face human communication ever. When you like something, you just